Today I will be changing out the evaporator freezer fan motor on this Whirlpool refrigerator here, frost free. And as I mentioned in a previous video that the fan was pretty noisy, meaning the bearings were going bad. It was squeaking and it was groaning. And the first thing I got to do is open up the freezer door here. And the next thing I got to do is lift out the freezer shelf here. Just lift it out and set it aside. And the next thing I got to do is remove this rear shelf support. It's held on by a Phillips head screw. I'll just take my trusty screwdriver here and unscrew it. Of course, the screw fell down. I'll just set that aside along with the screw. This shelf support you can't remove, but this one you can. You're going to have to remove this one to remove the back panel to access the fan motor assembly. And the next thing I got to do is loosen up all these Phillips head screws. There's one right here, 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 one right here. So I could remove the back panel to get at the fan motor assembly. As you see here, all the back panel screws have been loosened and removed. Now it's time for me to remove the rear panel, and I'll just take a screwdriver right here and just pry it loose. Just set that aside. And now I got to remove all these screws here. I got to get a socket for that because they're not regular screwdriver heads. They're hex heads. So I got to get a socket to remove all those so I can get this panel, this thing off, or manifold or whatever. All the screws have been loosened and removed for the manifold or whatever fan housing. And here it is. I'll just set it aside up here. And there's the fan motor. And it's held on by two screws, which I'll unbolt. And there's the fan motor. And make sure make sure that you mark on a piece of paper what color wires go to what terminals, so you could reconnect the new fan motor correctly. This is the replacement evaporator fan motor I'll be using. It's model ER482731. Evaporator fan motor by Exact Replacement Parts Industries, or ERP Incorporated. I got it on eBay for $18 with free shipping. You can't beat that price. It came with the motor assembly, a press-on fan blade, and some screws and grommets for custom installation to fit a bunch of other makes and models of other refrigerators. And as you see here, the aftermarket fan motor, replacement fan motor, is different from the original Whirlpool fan motor, but they're made to fit a bunch of makes and models of other refrigerators, like I said. And the next thing I'm going to do is compare the motors back to back, new and old. Here's the new one. Here's the original Whirlpool fan motor, the old one. Here's a shaft, there's a shaft, back to back. And as you see here, the mounts on the original Whirlpool fan motor are shorter than the aftermarket one. So I got to break off these tabs at the end. There's one tab right there and one tab right there. I got to break them off, and I'll use a vice grip to break those off. As you see here, I busted off the tabs off of each end of the replacement motor mount so I can make the mount fit my refrigerator. And now I got to take these rubber grommets and stick them in these holes right there for a custom fit. Got that one. Got that one. At least I got that one. Good enough. Now I got to take these metal sleeves here and stick them inside the grommet holes. One right there. And one right there. Perfect. Now it's time to mount the new evaporator fan motor to the refrigerator. Now it's time to install the replacement freezer fan evaporator motor. And the first thing I'm going to do is take this metal plate here, or dish, and stick it on the back like where it was. Making sure each hole is aligned on the hole on the back. 2 screws, 2 holes. Then I'm going to take my replacement motor and stick it in place like that, aligning the holes on each side. And secure the motor using those washers and screws that came with the kit. Good enough. The white wire goes on the top. The red one goes on the bottom. And the green wire goes on the side on this little thing right there. Wires are all in place. The fan is secured to the back of the refrigerator. Now it's time to take the fan blade and stick it on. We'll press it on. Pull it out a little bit. The fan blades are clearing the wires, so that's a great thing. Now it's time to reinstall that manifold, that plastic manifold or housing. As you see here, the fan manifold or fan housing is in place. It's all screwed in, it's all secured. And the fan blade clears the opening. It ain't rubbing on anything, which is great. And now I'm going to turn the refrigerator on for just a little bit to see how well the fan works, the new fan works. And of course I'll open the door. Nice and quiet. Now it's time to shut her off and reassemble everything. Before I reinstall my rear panel, I'm going to make sure that these gaskets are in place, which they are. There's one on each side. They're all into place. And I'm going to take the cover and just put it into place. Just let it rest. Then I'm going to take my screws and reattach it. Tight. That one's tight, I think. Tight. 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 She's all secured into place. Now I got to reattach my shelf bracket or shelf support. I'll just do that with this Phillips head screw here. Perfect. Take my remainder screws out of there. Remainder of screws. And I'll set those on top. Still sounding nice. Now I got to reattach my shelf. Like that. Now I got to wipe out the bottom of the refrigerator. Not worth videoing. The bottom is all cleaned. Now it's time to let this sucker cool for a while. Temperature control to 3. She's blowing nicely. Let her chill. Well, the fridge has been plugged in and running for about 3 hours now. It's after 7 o'clock, I think. And let's check inside the freezer to see how well the fan motor is running. Still is sounding pretty good. Sounds much better than what it was. The water inside this Coke bottle is starting to freeze up. Not totally, but it's starting to chunk up. And the shelf edge here is frosting up. Along with these shelf barricades on the door here, they're frosting up too. Now I gotta let her cool some more. I guess that does it. Bye.